You've probably heard this before. The fortune is in the follow-up. But if your lead nurturing really depends entirely on manual emails, last-minute promos, or content that you meant to send but never did, you're leaving conversions on the table. The fix? An Evergreen Nurture engine. This is a series of automated emails and content that engages your audience, builds trust, and converts leads on autopilot. And when it's done right, it doesn't feel automated. It feels like you're showing up right when they need you to. Hello and welcome to another episode of Digital Marketing Made Simple. I'm your host, Jennie Lyon, and today I want to teach you how to build a nurture engine that will work 24/7 to warm up your leads, that will feel personalized and perfectly timed, and that will grow your sales without more hustle, because we do not need more hustle. Okay, so let's start with, what is an Evergreen Nurture engine? So it's really a set it and scale it system that delivers really value-packed content to your leads automatically. This way you can continue to build relationships with them while focusing on other parts of your business. So unlike live launches or time-sensitive campaigns, your Evergreen sequence works no matter when someone opts in. So I like to think of this as your always on client concierge. You're ready to welcome them. You're ready to nurture, educate, inspire, and convert every single lead instantly. And it's not just about automated email sequences. It's really about a whole system. And so if you need any help, please reach out, but keep listening because this one is so much fun. So this is why real-time relevance matters. Let's be honest, generic email nurture sequences really do get ignored. Today's audiences are so smart and they really expect content that feels like it was created for them. So there's a lot of studies out there that show that even simple things like personalizing your email subject lines will increase your open rates by like 26%. Because why? Everyone loves to see their name. And segmented email campaigns really can drive up to 760% more revenue than non-segmented ones. This is why it's so important and why I talk about segmenting your audience so much. So when your nurture engine really delivers that right message to them at the right moment, it really creates this, oh my gosh, they get me, they see me, that type of feeling. And that's what really will turn your subscribers into buyers. So there is like this anatomy of a high converting sequence, especially when it comes to like your emails. There's a proven framework to guide your evergreen sequence, those people through and nurture them in a particular way. So you might want to jot these down. We also do sell a high converting email sequence entire workbook with all kinds of templates if you're interested. And you can always grab those at jennylyon.com/email nurture sequence. Okay. All right. So the first email is that welcome email, right? You want to set expectations. You want to share your brand values. You want to let them know what's coming. Email number 2 is kind of where you love bomb them, except you're value bombing them. So you're delivering like a quick win or maybe a teaching moment. You're giving them something actionable to do that's easy to consume and to put into action today. Email number 3 is where we share the story. So this is fun. This is, we talked last week about micro case studies. This would be perfect for email number 3. Or you could share your client success stories, testimonials. Those micro case studies, though, really do help to build trust. So you might want to go back if you haven't already and check that out. That episode's jennylyon.com/230. Okay, number 4 is the soft offer. So when I started this business over 20 years ago, I used to call it stealthily selling, right? You're kind of selling without selling. So this is where you kind of start to softly introduce them to your core offerings, but you want to do it in a way that connects back to whatever challenge they're facing. Then email number 5, this is kind of the FAQ email, or where you're kind of busting through any types of objections. This is where you can answer common questions that you get, hesitations, maybe things that people commonly misunderstand. Then email number 6, this is like a direct call to action. This is where you invite them to take that next step, whatever it is. Is it to book a call? Is it to purchase something? Is it to sign up? You're asking for the sale, to sound silly. And then number 7 is the follow-up, right? This is where you gently nudge those people who haven't converted yet. So again, that high converting email nurture sequence that we have, that's exactly what it's for, is the following up part, which I feel is one of the biggest gaps. I feel like I hear this all the time from clients where they say, oh, I just forget to follow up. Really, following up is where the riches are. I cannot tell you how many times that we will land a client simply because we continue to follow up until that person converts. So that doesn't mean that we're just emailing them and saying, hey, buy from us, hey, buy from us. But it does mean that we have that high converting email follow-up sequence on autopilot, where it is converting them over time by providing value. It's full of value. So if that's something that you need help with, grab that workbook and those email sequences. It will make your life much easier. Okay, number 4 is personalization tactics, but we do not want them to feel creepy. So you don't need things like AI to, create these different types of things. We're looking for personal, right? Personality infused, personal feeling experiences. So again, those are things like very easy things that you can do. Use people's names, their first name, in the subject line and at the beginning of all of your emails. And then reference back to things that you've provided to them before. So maybe that's like a lead magnet or a topic that they are interested in. This is huge. For example, if I have someone opt in to, say, our $10 a day ad template, well, when I follow up with those people, I reference that because I know that that's how they got into our ecosystem. They are interested in ads. So maybe I have podcasts that they could listen to that would help them. Maybe I have YouTube videos. Maybe I have another workbook. Maybe I have some paid, small, low-hanging type fruit programs, offerings for them, whatever that is. Next is, I know I'm going to say it, segment. Segment these people by their interests, their behaviors, or like I just said, where they enter into your funnel, into your ecosystem. It makes absolutely sense that if someone comes into my ecosystem and they're interested in Facebook ads, that I start talking to them about email marketing. Really segment by whatever it is that they need help with. The more value that you can provide in that area, the quicker they're going to convert. And of course, send content that feels handpicked for them, not just mass emailed. There's a time for mass emails. I like to send, mass type emails out, maybe when we publish a podcast, something like that. Something that I think, most of the audience will probably find these tips helpful, but really segmentation, the riches are there. And you also want to think about automating, that overall customer journey. So if that's something that you need help with as well, let us know. I'm actually working on this with a client right now, automating her entire ecosystem, because she definitely has clients that come in one particular entry point, but throughout the life cycle of that client, it definitely changes in how we're servicing them. They really have such a transformation from the entry all the way through to transformation that customer journey has to be so personalized to them, or they get stuck at the beginning of our process. So if you do need help with something like that, reach out. That's something that we definitely specialize in, and we can help you with that. Okay, next up is, well, how do you automate all of this, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing that we want. I'm a huge fan of anything that can be automated. If we can put a system in place and it kind of just works in the background so that you can focus on bigger things or more important things, then absolutely do so. And your Nuture engine is definitely one of those things that you can automate. So you could use tools like ConvertKit, I love ActiveCampaign. That's what I personally use. You can even use something as simple as MailChimp. But you really need to set up that automation so it has a trigger. It's going to start when someone submits a form or they download a lead magnet checklist, something like that. Then it moves them into the ecosystem where we start to nurture them. That's where those pre-written but highly customized and segmented emails go out to them. So remember, that's the important part. You need to make sure that you're tagging and segmenting the subscribers as they go through that journey. If not, you're going to lose them, you're going to confuse them, and it really needs to feel like that whole experience was made just for them. So a pro tip here is to space your emails out a little bit. I like to do it depends, anywhere from 1 to 3 days apart. This way you kind of keep that momentum going, but you don't want to overwhelm, So definitely there are times where an email a day works really well. Other times though, every 3 days, once a week, whatever that is. And then set that system to Evergreen so that it runs on pilot every time someone pops in. Once someone subscribes, autopilot, they get right in and get what they need. And I know you know what I'm going to say here, but you need to measure and tweak. Marketing is not a set it and forget it system. It's just not. So when your nurture sequence is live, make sure you're checking in. I like to check in on mine every week, but maybe you do it every other week. But you're looking for certain key metrics. Things like, what are your open rates? We always aim for over 30%. If your open rate is not over 30%, we even want higher than that. There's something wrong. We want to fix that. Your click-through rates, aim for 3 to 5%. Higher, of course, is better, but if we aren't getting click-through rate, we know there's a disconnect somewhere. Look for things like, when are people unsubscribing? Is there a reason why they're unsubscribing? Maybe that email is not as popular as we think it is. Maybe we need to tweak it. And of course, the conversion rate. We're looking at what percentage of people take that next step. That's really important things to keep your finger on and really make sure that you're hitting all of these points. And if you aren't hitting your targets, then, maybe you want to do some A/B testing. Maybe A/B test your subject lines. Maybe reposition your call to action. You'd be surprised how often we come in and all we do is move the call to action from the bottom of the email to above the fold, and all of a sudden our conversions go up. You can even adjust the order of the email content. And of course, if your list isn't engaged, then you might have to kind of rework your opt-in offer, and that's something that we can help with as well. All right, number 7, last but not least, is let's get building that nurture sequence. If you don't have that nurture engine in place, as this kind of evergreen funnel, or maybe you have one, but it's not converting. We have another client that just came on this week for that exact reason. She has a funnel for a program that she runs, and she was getting ready to launch. Hopefully the next program was supposed to start in a week or 2, and she has no one in it. So we had her adjust the next launch date, and we're reworking that evergreen nurture engine for her, that funnel, so that it can start working for her. That way we can not only fill her program in May, but in June and July and beyond. So if that's something that you need help with, here's some simple steps. First things first, sit down and write out your welcome email. What can you include in that that's going to, that welcome email needs to set the tone. It needs to wow them. And sprinkle in a little value if you can. And think about, what are you basing the welcome email around, right? As a lead magnet, then make sure that, the nurture sequence focuses back to that lead magnet. Whatever that person opted into is what they're really interested in. That's what's hot. So make sure that all of your content thereafter really focuses in on that pain point, that challenge that they're having, and provides them with a ton of value to get them from where they are today to where they want to go. And of course, you can use our high converting email follow-up sequence, that framework I'm talking about. You can grab that, and that will help you map it out because it has all of the email swipe files in there, and it's very easy to customize. You just basically sit down and go, okay, what lead magnet do I want to create this for? And you kind of just fill in the blanks, change it up a bit, and then get it into your email marketing platform and turn it on. But if you do need help with any part of the process, maybe the writing isn't your thing, maybe you don't have the time to figure out how to automate it, if you need help launching a funnel like this, where you have this nurturing engine doing this work for you in the background, then please reach out. Our team handles everything from the strategy to the copy to the tech, all of it. So please feel like you can always schedule a free call with my team at jennylyon.com/marketing. So this type of evergreen nurture engine, it's really geared to save you time while making you money. And once it's running, you can really feel confident knowing that your leads are being welcomed, they're educated, they're inspired, and they're invited to take action, whether you're online or offline. And the best part, it really does feel like you're writing to them in real time. And that's what we want. All right. Well, that's what I have for you this week. I hope that you found this podcast and this content on creating a nurture engine helpful. If you don't have one, I really do think you should just sit down, maybe this weekend, sit down and figure it out, because I'm telling you, once we do it for a client, they're like, why was I not doing this the whole time? So I really want to see that for you as well. But either way, I'll see you next time. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon on another episode of Digital Marketing Made Simple. Bye for now.